Judge Dorow's biggest mistake, in my humble opinion, was admitting that she was scared of Durl Brooks Jr. How's it going, everyone? This is Christian Duke. You're watching Sight Sounds Flavors on YouTube, sightsoundsflavors.com. I invite you to please like this video. I think we can all agree that Judge Dorow did a fantastic job presiding over the Waukesha Christmas Parade trial, or shall I say, train wreck of a trial. But she did a fantastic job. But the one thing I think that she made a humongous mistake on is that she admitted that she was scared of Durl Brooks Jr. How's it going, everyone? This is Christian Duke. You're watching Sight Sounds Flavors on YouTube, sightsoundsflavors.com. If at any point during this video you like it, please smash that like button. Also, please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications so you won't miss a single video, and please leave a comment down below. And if you get a chance, check out everythingelseChannel.com. It'll take you over to the Everything Else Channel landing page. I highly, highly encourage you to also subscribe to that channel. So, Judge Dorow did a fantastic job. Let me get a big gulp here. They're not a sponsor. But the one thing where she, I think, erred is that, I hate that, but that's a law school term, erred. It's not a law school term, it's an anybody term. It's a term that's not used. Nobody says erred, nobody says thrice. But I think she erred in the sense that she allowed for her human side to come out. And that's really all that was. You know, she wasn't the judge in that particular given time. She was a person like myself, like you, and she honestly just said she was scared. You know, it wasn't judicial misconduct. You know, it wasn't grounds for her to recuse herself. It wasn't a rush to judgment. It was just a human moment. She was scared. You've got this guy who is responsible for the deaths of half a dozen people, for injuring and maiming dozens of people, for wreaking havoc on a community, staring at you, looking like he wants to do you serious bodily harm. And even though there's bailiffs, and even though there's a good amount of space between you and him, she got scared. But she should not have said it, because Durl Brooks is a malignant narcissist. He is somebody who really, honestly, thrives on that. I mean, look what he did to Erica Patterson. Why did he keep recalling her? Why wouldn't he, after he questioned her, did his best to make her look like an unfit mom, accused her when she wasn't there of sending photos, or actually when she was there, accused her of sending photos? Why did he still not want her to be able to leave? Why were there other witnesses he didn't want to leave? He wanted to at least keep the option open of recalling because he didn't want them to go anywhere. He is somebody who thrives on scaring other people, on intimidating other people. He even did it to the victims, to the survivors. She should never have said, "This man is scaring me." She should never have said that. She lost so much ground, in my opinion, with him psychologically, but also in regards to his outbursts, his interruptions. It was a mistake. And you can tell the way that Darrell looked at Sue Opera, who was never afraid of him. Not only was she not afraid of him, she called him a scared little chicken. She said, "You don't have any power here." It's a completely different approach than that of Judge Dorow. A lot of times, Judge Dorow was noticeably frightened by Durl Brooks Jr. But the worst of all of that was when she actually said it. But it was just a human reaction. I mean, we're not saying that she wasn't a good judge, that she didn't fulfill her duties as a public servant and beyond. But by admitting that she was afraid, the tables turned. In Darrell's mind, and I'm not a psychologist, a psychiatrist, I don't have any mental health background, but I'm just saying, in my mind, when Darrell was engaging with a victim, it was almost like I said in my video, my last video, which was inspired by a comment by a lady named Larissa, who I'm trying to verify whether or not I can share her account, because she left such a great comment. And, her, in the video that she inspired, I said that I kind of make the analogy to Bloodsport, the Jean-Claude Van Damme movies, or the Karate Kid, the Ralph Macchio movies, where, they're portraying a martial artist and they're going through like the various different forms and meditation. And it's like everybody's gone. Like they could be at a beach, they could be at the Kumite, they could be at the valley. What is it called? What was it in the Karate Kid? The Twin Valley, whatever it was, karate championships. Everybody's gone. There's like a whole crowd of people. There's your sensei and the rest. Everybody's gone. It's as if they're not there, and it's either just you and Mr. Miyagi, or you and your sensei, or you, in this case, Darrell, and his victim. And so it's like there's no courtroom, there's no cameras. It's just him and whoever it is he's trying to scare. I really believe that that was the case with him, and that's why when he was staring at Judge Doro, he didn't care that Sue Opera and the prosecution were here. He didn't care that the bailiffs were here. He didn't care there was an audience behind them. He didn't care that we were watching on the various TV shows. It was like nobody existed except for him and Judge Doro. And Judge Doro felt that, because she said, this man, here's the thing. She didn't just say she was scared. She said, this man is staring at me. So she basically, if people over there, people back there, people back here were not aware of what was going on, it was just patently obvious what was going on because the guy was staring right at her. We could see that. The cameraman or camera woman, turned the camera and zoomed in at him. It was apparent who he was looking at and what he was trying to do. But again, human reaction, not faulting her. Well, I am faulting her, but I'm not saying that what she did was like wrong legally. It's just, wrong psychologically for the person we're talking about. She said this man is, and went on to explain what he was doing. That emboldened him. Because as she's explaining what he's doing, maybe in her mind, she thinks that this guy's going to develop some sort of sense of shame or right or wrong or something, right? Decency, maybe. Decorum. But no, as she says, as she puts it on record, what he's doing, now he knows that the camera's going to him. If the camera wasn't at him before, which it probably was, it's definitely on him now. And the last thing he's going to do is break character. So instead, the look gets even more sinister and more evil. So that after Judge Doro says, what this man is doing right now, as it gets worse, now she can't stop there. She has to say, I am afraid of this man. And then that's like, for him, there's nothing greater than that. I mean, he may look like he wants to do someone serious bodily harm, but he's smiling on the inside. He's laughing on the inside. He's thinking to himself, even though I am chained to this desk, and even though I've made a lot of people believe that there's shocks on me, which there weren't, even though these bailiffs are here, even though the judge is on an elevated platform 10, 15, 20 feet away from me, and there's no possible way that even if the bailiffs were asleep, I broke through the chains, I jumped over the desk, there's no way that I could get to her. None of that matters because I already have. He was able to get under her skin to the point that she was going to call a recess. That's how scared she was. And not only that, but she put it out there. If there was any doubt that that's why she was taking a recess, if there was any doubt why she was shook up, she removed that doubt by saying it on the record, making a point to say what Darrell was doing and what her reaction was to what he was doing. Plain as day for all to see, for us to talk about here, late July 2023, and maybe 2024, 2025, and beyond, because this is a trial that's going to be talked about like the O.J. Simpson trial. This trial will be talked about, but even more than the O.J. Simpson trial, because there's a fascination with the stupidity of Durl Brooks Jr., and people are obsessed with clowning on him and mocking him as a way of morally rejecting what he did. because we can't stop laughing at him, not with him. The reality of the matter is that a lot of us are just obsessed with the sheer insanity of these proceedings. That only in the United States, the country that we all love, could a trial like this have ever taken place. Because the defendant has so many rights and they must be respected. And Judge Doro was so adamant, as were the prosecution, or was the prosecution, to make sure that this guy did not have any opportunity at a viable appeal. So what did they do? They went above and beyond his rights and what he was entitled to make sure that he could not appeal. And that's exactly what they did. And they went so far, in my humble opinion, and that of many of my viewers, as to allow this monster, because Durl Brooks Jr. is a monster, to essentially re-traumatize a lot of the victims that were on the stand. But kudos to them, because they were so strong in getting up there, in confronting him, in taking his abuse, and just saying what needed to be said, no matter what. Some of these people were actually in front of the SUV, actually made eye contact with him before they were struck. And they had the bravery to get up there and face him. He didn't get the best of them. And a lot of them got up there and they were terrified to get up there, but they knew they had to do it because they were up there for their loved ones that they had lost. So again, this guy's a monster. He is the epitome, he is the definition of evil. But none of those victims ever said that he was scaring them. Sue and the other prosecutors, the bailiffs, none of them, the court staff, none of them ever said that he scared them. But Judge Doro did. Again, just a human reaction. Can't fault her for that, but am faulting her for that. Not angry at her, but disappointed in her. Is she supposed to be perfect? Absolutely not. She did a fantastic job. But it was the one mistake that I think I wish she hadn't have made. There were other mistakes, small mistakes, some other mistakes not so small, like letting Darrell get away with what he got away with. The 50-minute rant, which I'm sure all of you have seen by now, should never have happened. But she let it happen because she wanted to be beyond fair. That's a question of judgment. No pun intended. But the reality of the matter is that her saying that she was scared, her pointing out what was very obvious that he was doing, was wrong. And I'm sure that she regrets it. I can tell you that probably provided Durl Brooks with endless gratification. And I don't want to, be sleazy. I don't want to be demented, but we're talking about a monster. A monster that is as demented as they get. And who I would bet, the hair that's not on my head, that he enjoyed that on a variety of levels, some of which I don't even want to preface on this video. But I'm sure that you can imagine. I'm sure that you can imagine. And what victim said that? What prosecutor said that? None. He hated Sue Opper. Even when he was giving his closing, he said, you were not responsible for this conviction. In fact, you're not even all that smart. It's the people around you that deserve all the credit. Hogwash. He was talking to her like that because he hated her. He hated her because she wasn't scared of him. He hated her because she went at him with everything, every single time. And because she was the reason he was getting convicted. Because she was the one that spearheaded the prosecution. She was the leader. He hated her. Not to say that he loved Judge Doro, but he hated Sue Opper. And she never, ever said she was scared of him. And she may have been. She may have been. And she was a lot closer to him than Judge Doro was. And there were times like when she said defendant a little bit loud, where she'd come around. Sometimes I think she maybe even handed him stuff. He could have hurt her. He could have reached her. There's a lot more chance of him hurting Sue than there was of him hurting Judge Doro. But Sue just didn't give an F. She just wasn't scared. She never stuttered. She never broke her line of sight with him. She had him. She knew she was going to be, along with her fellow prosecutors, the ones that sent this guy away for hundreds and hundreds of years. And she did it. But, you know, I think that when Judge Doro said, this man is staring at me right now, he stared at her harder and got her to say that she was scared. But before that happened, I think she was trying to get it to register in this guy's head that everybody in the court, from the people, you know, in the audience to the people of the prosecution, the bailiffs, the court workers, that everybody there was on her side and they were against him, as if that was going to do something. Maybe she thought by saying that, like, some sort of shame would kick in, some decency would kick in, some decorum would kick in. None of the sort. All it did was make him angrier and stare her down harder. And then she said she was scared. I don't know what Judge Doro was thinking by putting that on the record like that. Not on the record, the court record, the record just stating the obvious, that Durl Brooks was staring her down, and then saying she was scared, and then saying that she maybe needed to take a recess, and then maybe even saying, I think she might have even said that he needed to be removed. That's a lot of attention to give to a guy that's chained, you know, to a table 20 feet away from you, who has no possibility of ever reaching you.